So I've got a build today for you, all based around blinding. We're going to blind things with our touch of Malice. We're going to blind things with literally everything that we do. I'm going to break the build down, show you a little intro now. Based around Bombardiers, when you're on an arc subclass, what these do. Dodging leaves behind an explosive that detonates. When you're on an arc subclass, that explosive, it blinds targets. We're obviously on an arc subclass with this build, so these are pretty nice. I'm also running a few added bonuses. The melee disorienting blur, that is also going to blind the target you hit and anything that's around it. We've also running spark of beacons. While you are amplified, your arc special weapon final blows also create a blinding explosion. Numerous ways of blinding, but we've even got more ways of doing it. We've got the flashbang grenade, which is also, you've guessed it, got to blind things. We've got all sorts going on with that. We're going to be able to jolt targets with that as well, which we'll go more into. And then I'm going to focus it on touch of Malice, charge with blight, precision hits, drain combatants' life force, and charge up a ball of darkness. When you reload, it unleashes a blight projectile, shrouding combatants in darkness and temporarily blinding them. So it blinds them, debuffs them. Really nice sort of build. Stay tuned, I've got some more clips and how it's all going to work. So I'm going to break it down firstly. So what you're going to see now is my flashbang grenade. That's obvious, that blinds. And then also the Bombardiers in action, and that's also going to blind the enemies. And as you can see there, he's also jolted from a grenade. So when they're jolted, they're more susceptible to chain lightning per damage, and anything around that is going to chain lightning to that target as well. From that target, sorry. So there's two ways of blinding. Now what we're going to do is add the touch of Malice into the equation. Now this is really nice. What it does, you'll see that on the left hand side, charge with blight. You get 10 precision hits, and that is going to pop up, charge with blight, and then what you do, hold reload, and this is also going to deliver blinding blight like so, and that also debuffs enemies by 50% as long as you're using a weapon of sorrow, i.e. osteo, something like that, or even touch of Malice, fawn, things like that. It does 50% extra damage to them. So I'm just going to touch more onto the touch of Malice, no pun intended, and as you can see there, just holds them in place very nicely, fits nice with this build, all stuck there blind, flashbang, and that's going to chain because they're jolted. So really nice, works in quite a lot of good activities. This is a lost sector, stunning all these, quite useful for team play as well, and yourself obviously. So really sort of strong blinding build. I'm going to keep saying this, blinding all through this video, because that's what it does. And this is sort of a bit of mixture of the Bombardiers working. What happens sometimes is the Bombardiers sometimes chain to the targets as well with the jolting. I don't know how, it just happens every now and again. And then now I'm just going to touch on the jolting side of it again. The target is charged with destructive arc light as they take additional damage. While jolted, they chain lightning to nearby targets. So this is what happens. You can sort of like, as long as you hit the target, obviously if you don't kill him, it's going to blind him. If it kills him, it's going to jolt and chain the damage to all the other targets around. So it's really good for all different types of content, messing around in strikes, gambit, raid, stuff like that. So this is the grenade. If it doesn't blind them, it's going to kill them. So it's really strong. Spark of beacons. Now while you are amplified, your arc special weapon final blows create a blinding explosion. So as long as you are amplified, which you can do very easily with this setup just by getting a grenade kill or collecting an ionic trace, you're going to get amplified. And then this is what it does. All your arc weapons are going to create like a little blinding burst. So I'm running an arc fusion rifle at the moment, but any sort of arc weapon that takes special ammo, a shotgun in particular, fusion rifle, Nezaric's Whisper, the glaive, it's all going to create, I don't know if you can see that little burst, and that's just blinding everything on kill while you're amplified. As long as you're amplified, really strong with everything else that we're going on with our melee. And again, it's one of these where you can use it in any situation. Bit of running and gunning, up close combat, or you can use it at a distance. If you wanted to use an arc special sniper, you could use that way too and blind everything as long as you're amplified. So it's really nice sort of setup. I've been using it for a good few days and really loving it. Just loving the fact that I can just control spawns while I'm amplified. you've got loads of different ways. Like I've said, you've got your Bombardier, you've got your flashbang grenade, you've got your disorientating blur on your melee, and you've also got your arc weapons that can also blind enemies. So again, just going to leave everything sort of playing out, little clip bits of it all working together nicely. I've run it in Gambit quite a bit the last couple of days. I've run it in the King's Fall raid quite a few times, and it does make things super easy. As you can see there, a bit of a touch of Malice there, just blinding and debuffing that enemy for me. Another way to blind. So I blinded him like three or four different times. Blinded that spawn there with all the different things we've got set up going on. Again, more blinding, more chaining, jolting. Absolutely loving it at the moment. So it's really strong. At the end of the video, I'll show you some more things that I've got going on. I've also got some elemental wells going on as well there, to sort of get our abilities back, and some extra fragments for ionic traces and everything. So again, it's like super strong for like blinding, controlling spawns. As you can see, I did it in Lost Sectors, and this is sort of more sort of gameplay of the arc special weapons creating that blinding effect. So yeah, that's pretty much the build. All them different ways we can control spawns and everything like that. I'm going to leave a few of the clips playing out and then explain the full build at the end, all the other little extra fragments I've got on, and the elemental wells that I'm running also. I'm also running Fontamite for all of our arc weapons, that we could get the extra damage on the arc weapons, and I'm also going to be set up to create lots of elemental wells for you and your teammates to get that extra ability back. And I'm also going to be creating lots and lots of ionic traces also to get us amplified, because one of the key parts of the build is getting amplified. So stay tuned, I will show you the full breakdown of the build. So this is now the full breakdown of the build. The aspects I'm running is Lethal Current and Flow State. I'm also running Flashbang Grenade, Disorientating Blur, and I'm also running Gambler's Dodge. That one's quite important because you want to be getting your melee back, and you get that every time you dodge near an enemy. It'll fully recharge your melee ability. The fragments I'm running are Spark of Beacons. While you are amplified, your arc special weapon, Final Blows, create a blinding explosion, and Spark of Shock, your arc grenades also jolt targets. So all together it's really nice. Spark of Vaults finishes are also making me amplified. I want to be keeping amplified as much as possible on this build. Spark of Discharge, arc weapon Final Blows have a chance to create an ionic trace. So that's another way of making sure we're getting plenty of ability regen back and getting amplified also. So them ones are quite important to run on the build. Now the mods that I'm running for my armor, I am running a Font of Might, which every time I pick up a elemental well that matches my subclass type, i.e. arc, it's going to give me 25% damage buff to my arc weapons. You can run Trace Evidence, which I've been using quite a bit, defeating combatants defeated by arc debuff spawns an ionic trace. So that's just another way of getting amplified and getting plenty of ability regen back. You can have a little mess around with some other ones if you like. I have tried things like Sundering Glare and Lightning Strikes twice. Sundering Glare is quite nice on this build with a touch of Malice in particular, because you get a 20% debuff. And then the other one you can also have a little mess around with if you want, if you've got it unlocked. Lightning Strike twice after throwing an arc grenade, gain increased grenade recharge weight for a short time, and arc final blows extend that, so it's like a boost to your discipline for a long period of time. So either of them. Elemental Ordnance is another one that I run. Defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an elemental well. It's going to be arc because I'm on an arc subclass, and I'm running Bountiful Wells. So every time I create one, it's going to create 2 wells, so it doubles up the amount of wells. And then the other one that I like to run is Elemental Time Dilation, because that's going to enhance your Font of Might by 3 seconds, so you get an extra 3 seconds of damage for your arc weapons. So it all works nice together, getting plenty of damage as long as all the blinding effects are going on as well on top of that. And then Powerful Friends is the last one that I run. If you run an arc mod with it, you're going to get an extra 20 mobility, so it's quite decent on a hunter, Powerful Friends, if you can fit it on, but you might be able to get the mobility on your own. And then the very last part of it is my customization. I'll leave that for you. I hope the vid's been helpful. Have a great day.